Hippie Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast is brought to you by The Island Rhythm, the dopest reggae-inspired and Rasta-inspired designs, clothing, and everything else you could possibly imagine. Check out theislandrhythm.com. Check out Island Rhythm on Facebook and on Instagram. Once again, The Island Rhythm is where it's at. Much love. Peace be the journey. May that be the mantra that guides you to stillness and the chaos of this world. And that is a quote from Shane Scott of Island Rhythm. And this quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie Fari, the beautiful, life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. So welcome to another episode of Hippie Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, brought to you by The Island Rhythm, recorded live in the Omen Honey Reggae Radio and Media Studios in the beautiful state of Florida. So take a second to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie, and Hippie Fari is a podcast where we discuss all things reggae. So if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. So tonight we have a special guest in the studio. A man who is a beat poet, who has done some beautiful things in the world of reggae music. And I love to give a strong introduction sometimes, but I actually talked to him on the phone the other night. And his beat poetry was so sick, I'm going to allow him to give his own introduction.
Yes, I. Greetings and love in the name of the Most High God, Jah, Rastafari for health, strength, and
Rastafari.
happiness. And let peace be unto the world of all races, of all creeds, and all religions. Bless.
This is a beautiful thing, man. Thank you so much. So, I'd love to welcome you to the show. Ras Benjamin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day or night to come on this show. And Shane Scott from the Island Rhythm. Going to be co-hosting the show with me. What's up, Shane?
How's it going?
It's going great, man. You actually one that be able to put this podcast together, so thank you so much, man. So I'm really, really, really excited about this podcast because this is like a podcast about the birth of a conscious rebel. You know, somebody who grew up in New York City during a pivotal time for reggae's global rise. You know, Raz, how did reggae find you? Or I guess the best question is, how did you find reggae?
Well, I would say about 1976.
Okay.
You know, I grew up in Long Island, New York City, and Brooklyn. And at the time, I was living on Long Island.
Right.
And just going down the street one day, and perhaps it was even a little earlier, there was a guy who used to ride his skateboard down the road, and he had a ghetto blaster on his shoulder.
Ghetto, I love Ghetto blaster. I love it, shit. I remember those days.
He was playing Peter Tosh,
yes,
Steel Pulse, etc., Bob Marley, and you know that heavily influenced me. And then a couple of years later, I started going on Grateful Dead tour.
Yo, you and my wife would have a lot to talk about, bro.
And the immersion in Rastafari started coming through the Grateful Dead tours with folks like Jah Levi, Eddie I, folks like that who started first growing their locks. And then we started growing our locks a little bit after that. I first started growing my locks around 78, 79. I graduated high school in 78. And then I shaved my head in 1985 before my mother died. And then started growing my locks back in 1985 from pretty much a bald head.
That's pretty awesome. So, you have a locks journey too. I had my locks, and then I got a job as a restaurant manager. I had to get rid of them, which sucked because of corporate America. But I'm, you know, it's just that journey again. It's such a beautiful thing, man.
Well, you know, I always say that where I work, like my locks are really long, so I have to kind of keep them tied back, and so they don't touch past the floor. And folks always comment to me, on my locks. And what I always say to people is, it's not how long your locks are, you know, how big is your heart?
Amen.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
that puts a smile on their face, and we can immediately relate, because that's really what's needed in this world right now, is that we can relate with each other. If a person wants to ask me about what I believe in, I'll tell them. Otherwise, I just look at us as all as human beings on
Wow.
this, planet, and we come up with something relating to each other, and we can just be friends. I work during the day full time, and then so my day starts about 5:30 in the morning,
Right.
and since I book tours for Mighty Mystic,
Yes.
I wake up at 5:30 in the morning,
Shout
send
out.
out emails to book shows,
Right.
look at offers that come in, and then I work from 9 a.m. to 5:30. And truth be told, if I see an email come in with an offer or something like that, or somebody's looking at a show with us, I'll run in the bathroom and answer those emails,
Right.
and then I'll come back outside to carry loads again.
That's a beautiful thing, man. I actually
That's awesome.
I do the opposite of you. It's pretty funny, man. I work 8 to 5, and I do most of my stuff when I get off. But you do your stuff when you wake up. You wake up earlier to do your stuff. Which actually, you know what,
Well,
man?
I
I
do it
think I
again at
might
night.
start doing that. That's a really damn good idea, bro.
Well, what I do is, I set up my emails at night,
Right.
and then I send them about 5:30 in the morning. My theory, if I'm correct, is that it's one of the first emails they'll see when they
When they
get to
wake
their
up.
office,
You're exactly
Yeah.
right.
or they'll get prompts on their phone when they wake up. So my theory is that they'll see mine first, and and respond.
It's a good theory.
And then I do it again at night. I follow up. I get my emails going. I may take a few phone calls, answer emails like I did before we hopped onto this conversation.
Right on, man.
How often, like, how long during the day does that take, do you think? Because you were very friendly to me when I first made contact with you.
It really depends. Some days are busier than not. Lately, it's been not quite as busy, um, in a sense that I think we're getting towards the end of the year, and musically speaking. So right now, everybody's working on 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You have to almost stay about 6 months ahead of yourself, so that you don't miss opportunities when you're booking a tour.
Right.
But of course, you have to start somewhere. So, for example, when I booked Mighty Mystics tour starting last year, we start actually January 25th was the first show. We are going all the way to November 1st of 2025. Then he'll be going back to Jamaica to visit his family out there and get a much needed break.
Right.
Um, Tonight, for example, this weekend he played in Virginia. Then he went out to a few hours away in Virginia, and he just recorded 5 songs with Pacifier. They'll
Yeah,
look
I
at that
love
release
Pacifier,
later.
man.
Yeah,
Had the
that's big.
opportunity to see them live when they opened for Article Sound System. That was a beautiful show.
And then they're heading out to Florida for their first 7 shows. I've got them playing um, October 15th at Dosey's Dock in Fort Walton Beach. It's about a 150-seat room, which is supposed to be the best sounding room in Fort Walton Beach.
Nice.
And then on the 16th, I have him playing at Depot Village in Gainesville, which is a fairly new spot. We played out last year. It's outdoors. It's a really sweet spot. They have all kinds of sponsors on board. They have Airbnbs for us to stay in, so that's really sweet. And then on the 17th, I have them playing at Sugar Shack downtown in
Yes.
Bonita Springs, and
Yes.
that one's going to be hype. And
Yeah.
we buy sponsored ads for every single show we do because we want to make sure that the venues and the attendees will see our posts. I mean, we make organic posts all the time and videos, but the ads are so crucial.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely, man.
And then on the 18th, we're playing Safety Harbor Music, Safety Harbor Center in Safety Harbor, Florida. And that one's going to be really
Mhm.
great. They're really sweet folks. They're actually putting Mighty Mystic up from October 18th till the 24th.
Right. Nice.
And then on the 19th, he's moving along to Port Charlotte at the Twisted Fork in Port Charlotte. That one's going to be an early show. We're going to go noon to 3 p.m.
Those are beautiful. I love
Actually,
matinee shows,
3:30.
man.
Yeah, it's
With
awesome.
another band called Phoenix Five that's very popular in Florida.
Right on.
Up and coming act, but they're really nice folks. We've had several conversations with them, so I have a lot of respect for them for putting in the works that they're doing. And then um, they're going to have 4 days off until we play Guanabanas on the 24th in Jupiter and the 25th at Pineapples in Melbourne, which is
I
another
love
great
pineapples.
room.
Hey, Roz, I gotta ask you a question, man.
Yeah,
You have all this memorized,
yeah.
bro. There is
Sharper
no
mind
way
for sure.
in hell I could ever remember what you just said, man. That's amazing. That's a real booking agent,
Yeah.
bro.
Well, we booked. We're approximately 111 shows. Mighty Mystic is also going to
Hey guys, we got another
Anguilla.
podcast coming out. He's gonna recite all 111 straight memory.
I'm not. I might be able to do that, but
Yeah,
sometimes I
I
forget
bet you
things.
could, man.
Bonus points if you can recite the entire set list for each
Yeah,
show.
That I can't do because it's funny though because when he comes to Colorado or I fly out to work some shows, he hands me the set list and he says, "Put one in front of me, so that me and Kebo can see it on keyboards, right? And then drums and bass can see it. And I never look at the set list,
right.
partially because I want to be surprised. And he does change it up a little bit. Sometimes he like on the Colorado shows, he broke out some tunes I've never seen him do live,
Right.
and they were really good. It's he's one of those artists. While his albums are really crucial, his new one, Walk Tall, is almost like a sleeper. Like you listen to it at first and say,
Mhm.
that's really good. And then you listen to it and you listen to it and you find a tune that really hits home. And the one song that really hit home for me on the Walk Tall album is Giving Thanks and Patiently Waiting, um, songs like that. And I really recommend that folks, go to Spotify or however you listen, um, and really tune into his presence as an artist. He is really one of the few Jamaican artists that lives stateside that really bridges the gap between Jamaican reggae and American reggae.
Right.
Right. Now, do
And
you see
that's
a
a
difference?
hard one to accomplish because, you know, you see how the American reggae scene is, in all respect due to all the American reggae artists, but they're really gravitating towards that Cali sound.
Right.
Right. Does he resonate more with the East Coast style roots sound or the Cali sound?
I would say he resonates more with the East Coast
Which is
sound
a
because,
beautiful thing. And you know what I
Yep.
always say?
East Coast
The
rising.
East Coast is closer to Jamaica.
oh,
It
yeah, I
really
mean, when
is,
I grew up,
man.
it is. I mean, Florida's closer to
Damn right.
So, you'll definitely. There's a lot of Jamaican bands that live there.
Mhm.
There's a lot of American reggae bands that live there. But what I've noticed is that there's no major really reggae band from Florida. If I'm correct, there's a few that stand out, but there's nobody who's like really fully blown up, which surprises me for how big Florida is
Right. I mean,
and
there's a
how
lot
many
of
bands
locally.
there
There's
are.
brothers in, yeah, but I mean, damn, man. Yeah, you're right, man. It's a lot of the California, but it's the Cali roots. Well, I like the East Coast reggae was like Cultivated Mind, for example. Or bands like that. It's it they bring the not just the roots sound, but the the message. You know what I mean? I'm more concerned about the message. And
Yeah,
I
and that
love the
comes
Chug.
across many ways.
You know,
Cali has a message, and there's a lot of hardcore roots reggae bands and
Tribal
Jamaican bands.
Steeds crushing
Yeah,
it.
Tribal Seeds is great.
Oh yeah,
One of my personal favorites is Arise Roots.
love a Rise Roots,
I
man.
love Rise Roots.
Sick. Yes, beautiful,
They did
fucking
it.
incredible.
They did a show out of was it Felton Hall or something like that down south in San Diego. It was all acoustic. It was an amazing show. It was like an hour and a half. I couldn't turn away from the TV when I watched it.
No kidding.
Yeah, when he
Yeah,
played Denver and he did Redemption Song and they did acoustic and he literally, and he wasn't faking it, he had tears
makes
coming
you
out
want
of
to
his
cry.
eyes.
That's what I was just gonna say. Yep,
He was crying.
yep,
He
yeah.
was crying
Yeah.
because he really means what he
How
says,
can you not
and I
though?
feel he lives it.
How can
And
you
I,
not play Redemption Song and like bring a tear to your eye? You know what I mean? Because it's like,
Mighty Mystic sings that as well,
yeah,
and he does a great version of it.
yep.
Um, you know, my one, and with the Cali sound, they, every area you have to look at it as where they're from and where their roots are from. They're not
Yeah.
per se, roots or straight reggae because they're from a different area. So you have to respect where they come from, how they're bringing that out. Like personally, one of my favorite bands is Slightly Stupid because they
Slightly Stupid is
represent
off a
the
chain.
genre
Yeah.
in their own way. It's very true. They're not faking it. They're really, really awesome, respectful folks, and they care about
And I've said that
Jamaican
before.
reggae music.
And I've said this before, man.
Yeah.
Out of like the giant reggae bands, and I'm not going to mention like the giant. We all know who the biggest, reggae bands are. And I was talking to my wife like, probably a couple months ago. I was like, Slightly Stupid is probably, out of the giant, out of like the biggest like American reggae bands. You know what I'm saying? And we all know who they are. I think Slightly Stupid definitely holds it down the best.
Yeah.
I like them because like I met them once, and they literally knew who I was. How they knew who I was, I'm not 100% sure. Aside from the fact that there was this dub poet from Jamaica who passed away named Jafada, and he brought me backstage and introduced me to them, and they knew who I was. I don't know how, but they knew who I was, and they just had real respect for the Rasta.
Sure.
And that goes a long way in my book, just because they recognize the fact that reggae music came from Jamaica with its roots in Africa.
The tiny
Yeah.
country of Jamaica made a massive fucking impact on this world.
Out of many, one people.
Yes.
I mean, there are more reggae singers in Jamaica. People, and the thing about Jamaica is these guys came up when they were kids.
Yeah, no,
They would
man.
dance,
Yeah,
they would
dude,
dance
man.
on 9 years
A
old,
lot of them
12
are
years
pressed like
old.
one record. There's so many records like out there, man. You could listen
Was
to
it
it for the rest of your life.
was it
My
Bob Marley
favorite,
recorded One Cup of Coffee? Was it he was like 14?
On Beverly Records, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and look at Dennis Brown. Soul
Oh
Hits, I
yeah.
believe, came out when he was like, I might be wrong, but maybe like 12 years old. And honestly, he is one of my top three favorite reggae artists. And I got a chance to go on one tour with him, um, in the I want to say late '80s, and he taught me one thing, and he said to me, "Don't ever turn your back on the audience."
Right.
And if you
Uh,
can't remember your lyrics, just stop, let the music play,
Amen.
and come back in. You're the only one that notices your mistakes. So, you know,
Are you a
just
Vaughn? I have a question. Like, this is the most beautiful thing about a podcast. I haven't gotten into my second question,
go right ahead.
and we're all, no. I don't
Sorry.
even want to. I don't even
It's
want to because this is
fascinating,
so
yeah.
organic. I love it, man. Are you a Von Benjamin fan by any chance? Midnight, Akabeka,
Yeah,
the
de-
fucking Saint Croix roots.
definitely. In fact, when I had I put on a reggae festival in outside of Fort Collins at Mishawaka for 7 years, called the Poudre River Reggae Festival,
Beautiful.
and I had Midnight play for me
I
one
would
year.
do, bro. I'm telling you, man. I swear, I there. If I could talk to God right now, and He's like, "Would grant me one wish," it would literally be to see Midnight play and shake Von Benjamin's hand. Because I love Akabeka, but I love Midnight. You know what I mean?
They
It's like Akabeka was sick. He was just a sick, beautiful person.
It was that show I did with them was really really funny too because um, the before the show happened, I told the venue, that they might want to play for 3 hours, and the way I did my reggae festival was that I had as many Colorado bands open up,
Right.
and then one other mid-level reggae band. Then I always had a big headliner because it was started. I started in um, let's see, God, maybe I think 2002, 2003 was my first one, and my premise was that I would keep. I called it the recession buster, where I tried to keep my ticket price down to 20 advance, 25 days show, and this is way before really. The internet busted out. There was no MySpace, no Facebook, no
Right.
Instagram, and
No
I would
MySpace.
print up
Damn, I don't even think I was born then.
and yeah, well, that shows my age. I was born in '60.
I had a
Um,
MySpace. I had a MySpace account. I felt weird about it.
Yeah,
and
no shit. When you had to put the one song that everybody heard on MySpace, you're like, that's the
And
song that defines me.
everybody on the planet was friends with Tom.
Yeah.
oh, I know Tom. I know Tom.
The generic picture. That was funny, man. That's hilarious.
But yeah, and the funny thing about that Poudre River Reggae Festival when I had midnight play, um, we I was handed down something by the police department because the owner at the time, he let anything go.
Right.
Like he would let 1,400 people in the venue, and it was like on a canyon. The parking was hellacious.
Good for him.
And but the police came in before the show, and I guess they must have heard that Midnight will play for 3 hours, and
Right.
they made us cut off the show at midnight.
Nah.
So I had to go. I had to go backstage and tell them, I have the hard close at midnight, or I'm going to get fined like 1,000 an hour.
Midnight
So I
was
had
probably
to
like, we'll
close
pay
off
your
the show at
grant. We'll
midnight.
pay your ticket.
He wasn't happy about that, but it was out of my control.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
And they put on, probably, one of the more memorable shows I have ever seen.
Well, I'm
Because I put
sure.
it.
Von Benjamin. I mean, I literally have a private folder on my YouTube account as of Von Benjamin's spoken, where he will literally take dialect and dissect words and tell you what they mean. Like, I can listen to him for the rest of my life. But the beautiful
It's
thing is,
very
I'm
well
listening
read.
to you now, man. Let's talk about your One Love bumper sticker in
Oh,
1985,
yeah.
bro. Like,
So yeah,
what's going on? Like, that you were spreading that reggae message. Let's talk about that, bro.
so I'm not an artist. My
Yeah, you are.
father was an artist.
You created a sticker.
Um, well, yeah, but
You are an
what I would
artist.
do is I would link up. So I had the idea for the One Love sticker, and I wanted it to be very simple, so that you could read it on the back of a car.
Right.
And I always print on 5-year vinyl
Okay.
because
So it ain't gonna wear
from
off.
yeah, so it won't wear off. the best your best advertising is that people can see it on a car or wherever they have it, a road case,
That's it.
on a keyboard, guitar, what have you. Um, I had a friend of mine go to Europe in the 80s, and I gave him 500 stickers, and he put them all over all the train stations everywhere. And then he took a picture with Instamatic camera and mailed me the camera to take, and and so I had those. But yeah, so I came up with the design in 1985, and I just literally had a friend of mine. We traced it out until I was like, yeah, that's the one, that's the one. So then I brought it down to a bumper stick, a place to print in Boulder. The only way to get a good price on those is to print 10,000 at a time to get
Right.
them down to a good enough price where you can sell them wholesale, still make a profit, and also sell them retail for $2 a piece. So therefore, I don't print them every year. I'll run out, I'll print 10,000 stickers. It'll take me about 2 years to sell wholesale, and then I have to raise the money again to do it again.
Right.
Um, so right now I'm kind of in between. And 4 years ago, my friend Scott, who was a football agent from Art Element, and he was also owned an art company called Art Elementals.
Just a heads up, I trust anybody named Scott. I don't know why, I just do.
Yeah, me either. But he's
That's my
amazing.
first name and Shane's last name, so you know what I mean? There's just something weird
I
going
know.
on.
I noticed. I was looking like Scott. It's kind of like everybody in the reggae business who buys shows is named Kevin.
Yeah. It's kind of
Kevin
like everybody
O'Brien.
in the mafia is named fucking Peter or Paul. You know what I mean? Like, this is my cousin Peter's, Paul's Peter.
Well, growing up in New York, everything we got fell off the back of a truck
Right.
Yeah.
in the 1970s. Just so you know.
Is that where the whole thing came? Like, where the old like the old grandmas from New York would be like, "I didn't just fall off the turnip truck last week." You know what I mean? When you're trying to confuse them, So I get that, but anyway.
Perhaps, but back in the Goodfellas movie,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
watched the movie,
Yes.
so
Great
Yeah.
and that's
movie, by the
where
way,
it came
man.
from. It fell off.
Yeah.
Everything we got came off the back of a truck.
Right.
I
Even cigarettes, right?
Everything.
I got family that lives in Yonkers, and supposedly Uncle Tony is a gas furnace repairman. Never seen his hair dirty or his hands dirty. Never wore a uniform. And
Right.
he drove a big old Cadillac. You know the one with the straps in the back on the 80s?
That's awesome.
I was like, he's not a gas furnace repairman.
Of course not, man. He's working
And
for
we won't
somebody.
talk about that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Boulder and you mentioned Fort Collins. Is there like huge pockets of reggae in those two areas? Because I've been to Colorado and Denver. I don't see it as like a huge reggae.
It's actually a lot bigger. Not everybody, we have almost 200 reggae-ish shows a year in Colorado. There is Rasta Stevie. I don't know if you know who Rasta Stevie is. His nickname, so he's kind of like the world MC. He emceed Sierra Nevada World Music Festival, Reggae on the River, and he has on Facebook called the Ganjarato Reggae Calendar, and he updates it continuously. And there's about, I would say, close to 200 reggae shows a year in Colorado now. In the 80s, when I opened up my reggae store, I believe it was 86 on the Pearl Street Mall. It was 400 square feet big. I didn't want anything big because I wanted to fill every inch of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when we first, started. When I first created the One Love sticker in '85, that catapulted into the idea of having a store. And my store was called Crucial Reggae Imports. And I kind of followed what Trade Routes did in San Diego. They were the first, and I would say the longest running reggae store in America.
Yeah.
And,
That's
my
amazing.
store
So
was
wait. See, records, stickers, clothing, everything reggae.
Yeah, everything reggae was, vinyl. Because I used
Yes.
to go up to Jamaica and trade my One Love stickers for 7-inch
That's
45s.
beautiful, bro.
Oh, wow.
And I used to order from Greensleeves,
Oh,
Ras
Greek
Records,
dude,
everybody. Everybody.
Augustus Pablo, one of my
Yeah.
favorite artists in the world on Greensleeves Records. I have a question for you, man, real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe you've seen this. I've never seen it. But when you get like the 7 inches or the the EPs or the LPs, the 12 inches or whatever, did you ever like get one where the name was scratched off? Because I was told that like a lot of the original reggae artists when they were playing in the dance halls, they would scratch off the name of the record. So if another selector would walk up and see what they were playing, they couldn't see the name of the record they were playing, so the selector couldn't take it and play it in their dance hall.
You know, that I never heard of, but that makes a lot of sense
Right.
because,
Yeah.
dancehall in Jamaica, as you know, is very, very competitive.
That's what I'm saying, right? But you would
Yeah.
think you would want to get the artist's name out there, but at the end of the day, you want to keep that in your dance hall.
Yeah. I mean, when they did dub plates, that's different
Yeah, sure. Yep.
because, they wanted to make sure that everybody knew who they got a dub plate from.
Right.
Right.
And, what interesting, when I went, so I had my store from about 86 to 88. I had a warehouse and all that. And a little bit of a backstory. I went out to California and I went to the, what's the name of the store? Um, it was a very famous store in San Francisco. It'll come back to me in a minute. But I was getting out of the back of my truck and I bumped into this other guy was getting out of his truck to go into the same store to sell his T-shirts, and there weren't very many reggae T-shirts in the mid, late '80s, right? And I bumped into this guy, and we both turned around, we're like blood clot, and I
Yeah.
start cracking up, and he's coming out of the back of his truck with T-shirts. And I was coming out of my truck with my One Love stickers, and we were going into the psychedelic shop in San Francisco, the most famous store from the '60s forward, or '60s or '70s forward. I believe it might still be open today. I'm not 100% sure. And then him and I became fast friends. We went up and down the West Coast selling my stickers and his T-shirts. Then we went back to his store he had in Huntington Beach, California, called Afro-Carib Arts. And in the back of his store is where he printed his T-shirts. And so we decided that we're going to become T-shirt wholesalers. And we went out and bought every rock and roll magazine there was. And we hired a photographer.
That's how you had to do it, man. It was all
Pictures.
printed media back then, man. There was no online
Yeah,
shit.
and then we took photos of all his T-shirt designs, and all of his designs were his artwork that he had painted on canvas.
That's
And,
beautiful,
and he
bro.
took the best ones and put them on T-shirts.
That's
And then,
beautiful.
so we mailed one T-shirt for free, one swatch, one sheet, and a one-page color catalog to like 500 stores all around the country.
Was the
And
name of the shop called Why It's Famous?
no, it was called Afro-Carib Arts.
Okay.
And so we mailed them out to about 500 stores around the U.S., record stores, clothing stores, any kind of hippie store, head shops. And we got on the phone and we ran up a nice long distance phone bill, and we
That's how you
called
had to
every
do
single one of them. And we said, we mailed you a Tyvek envelope with one free T-shirt. And at the time, we could afford to sell them for $7 wholesale.
Wow.
And we literally got close to 250 orders.
It's amazing.
And then we had to stay there and print, and then mail them out. And then I went back to my store in Colorado, and I would just stay on top of making phone calls, getting orders. And then there was another guy, and his name was Ross 7.
Right.
And then there was another guy. I wish I had my catalog with me. I should have brought it out. But I have like one of the first like retail catalogs that
Oh
we would
wow.
mail out to people and sell them wholesale. Then there was another Rasta. I'm forgetting his name. He was the person who made the posters for Strictly Roots, which was one of the first American reggae band, Rasta reggae bands from California and Oregon. And then he had a line of T-shirts. Oh, his name was Ras B, I believe. Jabi. And we did the same thing with him.
You know
He
who
was
else
around
has a
in the
really good
70s,
roots
wasn't he?
reggae scene? Is fucking Arizona, right?
Yeah, Arizona's got some tough stuff. There's no
Arizona
rust over
crushes the
there.
roots reggae, man. It's amazing. You know, you would think a lot of people like really associate roots reggae with like being by the beach, which is crazy because like you go on a cruise, you hear roots reggae, or you know what I mean. Like it's all the you know like just what people associate with her reggae music. You know, when they don't
Well, there
listen
was
to it, but it
even
really
Utah,
does cross boundaries, cross borders. It crosses everybody, man. And
even
Arizona
Utah,
has
Yeah, I
got
lived
some
even
of
in
the
Utah.
dopest roots reggae ever.
I lived in
There
Salt
was
Lake City, Utah for 15 years, and the reggae scene out there is
It's
outrageous.
huge, bro. That's what
Do
I'm
you
saying, man. It's like
remember?
it's almost more intense the further you go in because people want it
Yeah.
more. Yeah, it's wild.
Do you? There was a. I'm trying to remember his name, and I should have looked that up before I talked to you. Um, he passed away about some 20 years ago, and he was
Afro
one of the
Omega.
first. What's that? Oh,
Afro
no,
Omega.
Afro Omega. Yes. No, he was a gem. And then his
Yeah.
last album before he passed was. Oh
Move
man,
Like
that
Light
is
is like
intense.
phenomenal.
Yeah, and I got to get to know him a little bit before he passed.
Yeah. We had a
Um,
huge
Afro
fundraiser
then,
Blondie.
one time
but
for him.
way before that, there was a gentleman. He probably would have been close to like 75, 80 now. He's one of the first reggae DJs. Um, the first one is the one in California. Why am I forgetting his name? He's the longest one. And then there's Donovan Maka in Colorado, who has been DJing since I believe 1977 at
Hey,
KGNU.
Raj, can I ask you a question real quick? You speaking of
Yeah,
California, have you ever heard of a reggae band called Groundation?
of course, of course.
Okay, I've
I
had
was going to
Harrison
mention
Stafford on my
them.
show twice. Bro, that's just
They're amazing.
mixed, yeah, jazz, blues, everything with reggae music. This is beautiful. I had to literally give the Groundation shout out, so go ahead.
Groundation is one of the more, the thing about Groundation is, like you said, they mix a lot of musics together,
They do.
but it's still, like he says, grounded,
It's very,
groundation,
very
like
roots.
a
And Harrison
groundation of
Stafford
naivety.
is.
Yeah.
He's been
Well, it's
And,
listening to roots reggae since he was 7 years old. This was his
and
music. It's such a beautiful thing. He will combine everything he loves, and he created the band from some people who were in the jazz program at the college he was in, and
right, I was going to say,
brought them into reggae music. And
wasn't he a professor for a while?
that's
Or still
exactly
is, maybe?
correct. And you know what the beautiful thing about Harrison Stafford was? He was a professor. They did not have a reggae program at the college. He walked in
Right.
without literally having a teaching degree and dropped this on them. And they were like, "You know more than anybody we have ever met. You can certainly teach this." How in the fuck does that happen, man? How do you walk
He's
in
a
without
genius.
being a teacher and
He's a
know more than
genius.
the professors do? And literally, they're like, you can be a professor at our college and teach reggae theory. That is some shit, man. And that's beautiful, man.
He's a genius musically.
100%.
I mean,
yeah.
like if you listen to the compositions,
Yes,
the
it's
way he puts together his music,
and he records it
um,
all analog, bro.
yeah,
All
it's
analog.
much
It's
warmer
all like the
sounding.
band playing together. It's
And he helps out other reggae bands like the Congos,
yes.
Visual
Oh yeah, yeah.
Vibration,
And
all the old
he
school he
brings
brings
the
out.
Abyssinians, man. He brings back the elders. He's like, I
Yeah, like
could
Afro
do,
Blondie and
yeah. Harrison Stafford's like, I could do, a song with anybody, but
Yeah, no, his
I want to bring the elders back, and that's what I love about him, man. It's, but that's what I love about reggae music is the message. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, man, it was the first reggae record was released in Jamaica in the '60s. The message is as strong today as it was in the '60s when the first reggae record, when it was released. Like these people need to be the elders need to be brought back and still mentioned because it's very important.
Well, it's all coming back to the roots again because everything starts with a seed
Right. Exactly.
and then a root,
Yes.
and then the tree itself grows into, you know, you know, the leaves and the branches.
Right.
Right now, we have a lot of leaves and branches. However, now if you're looking at the lineups at these reggae festivals as of late, you're seeing more and more reggae artists from Jamaica in there, albeit they're the more well known ones. Um, but you're going to see some of the up and coming, like Rick Jam, folks like that. Mighty Mystic is finally getting into reggae rise ups. You know, they're really hearing about him now. Um, you know, we know what's going on. Um, and with that said, we can't, and we have to understand that wherever it's coming from, right? Europe is a little bit more radical, and their sound is going to be from where they're from,
Correct.
and they've always been based more on Jamaican music, um, and you know, so their culture is going to be brought into the music. So same thing with the Cali roots sound of reggae music. You can't really disrespect the way somebody is bringing forth the message
I
because
completely agree.
that message is
Yep.
still getting through to
I completely
people
agree.
and doing its job. You know,
So
um,
reggae and poetry are weapons, and they're
yeah,
medicine.
and the music is getting across. In Cali, it's different. It's warm. It's surfy. It's got a different feel and a different vibe. So of course it's going to come from the way people are born and raised and have a different,
Mhm.
feel to it. Um, and then in New York, you talk about a concrete jungle where, you
Amen.
kind of have to fight your way through the streets, fight
Yeah.
through, and then in Jamaica, where, where it really came from, these people sang their way out of poverty.
Songs of struggle.
Right.
They had to do auditions, you know, and when they were in the recording studio, the reason why the old reggae albums sound so warm and so perfect is because when they went into the recording studio, they
Sure.
practiced, and they would play live in the studio. Then when they
Right.
did the vocals, when there were three-part harmonies,
Yeah.
bands like Culture,
Sure.
Abyssinians,
Yes.
and all those bands, they would
Luca
sing
Baruga.
it
Yeah.
live in the
Yep.
studio, three-part harmonies standing right next to each other. If you made a mistake, you had to redo it. And they hardly made a mistake because it was so rehearsed and so
So
practiced that,
you've worked with culture,
yeah,
right?
I
Dennis
spent,
Brown, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh.
and that's what made the music so amazing was that they took what they had and they practiced, and when they went in the studio, it had that live feel.
So I have a
Yeah, they
question
may
for
have
you. Has
done some
reggae lost anything
overdubs.
since that live feel?
What's that?
Has reggae lost anything like since that live feel? Because
Well,
with all the digital, you know what I mean, and it's gone from analog to digital. And like that soft, that beautiful feeling. Has it? Do you think that it's kind of that feeling has kind of been, because you used to buy a record and you could take the sleeve out, or you could buy
yeah,
a cassette tape, you could look at it and see and feel the band. You could hold it. Now it's like everything's on
I miss vinyl.
streaming. Like, do you
Yeah, I've
think
got
that
some good
that
vinyl
has
collection.
literally like the message has been lost through streaming music? I
And the
personally feel that it
biggest
has
thing
a
about
little bit because
the
it
greatest thing
doesn't, you
about
hold it dear to your
vinyl,
heart.
the greatest thing about vinyl, like you said, and this is something that is not there as much today. um, with the digital music or way records put together, it told the story. It had a
Yes.
theme. Like you
Amen.
look at Led Zeppelin, you look at the Yes and bands like that from the
Right.
'70s. It was a theme,
Right.
and you opened up the record, and you could read the story, and you
You
could look at the
held it.
credits and who played what
Yes.
instrument,
You could
and
write a
then
letter to him
some of
and
the
get a
songs were
sticker
in there.
back.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you could read the lyrics. Um, and it's different. Now you have a 3 second rule. You stream something for 3 seconds. It better hit hard or you're not going to listen through to the whole song.
Right.
Um, has it been lost in digital? In some respects, it has, but in some ways, it could be better because the sound is a little bit more precise. Like you can move things around to adjust where you want different frequencies to be.
Right.
Whereas when they would record on a 2-inch machine, um, then mixed down to a 1 inch and mastered on a 1/4 inch in some cases, or a 1 inch, that was it had a warmer
Yes.
sound.
Exactly. The analog sounds
People are
way warmer.
doing that now, though. They're recording digitally and then they're actually mastering um, um, in 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 a more warmer way
Right.
by actually mastering um, through through the 2-inch machines and
Right.
such. I'm not an engineer myself, but I've been around enough of it to where I have an understanding of it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
it's interesting. I was looking on a Facebook Marketplace the other day, and I found a 32 channel board, analog. And I was talking to a guy this weekend. And I was like, "Yeah, I found this board in Ocala, and I'm thinking about buying it." And he was like, "In Ocala?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "That might be the board from the producer of Michael Jackson's Thriller."
Wow.
I was like, "I'm going to get it." I just got to break it to my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
my
kidding.
friend in Boulder has a board that he bought. I don't remember who it was, but it was somebody major, and an analog board. In
Yeah,
fact, I remember when I was in New York and I was working with Levi, like in 80, was it 89, 90? He bought one of the first automated digital boards from a Japanese company.
yeah,
And I was like, so wait, you plug this in, you set your mix, and you watch the faders move by themselves. And I was like, okay.
yeah. What like so when you got into reggae music and the Rasta scene and all that stuff, like what was the one album you listened to and you're like, this is my vibe, this is what I'm going to do?
um, I'd say Peter Tosh.
Peter Tosh.
Yeah, because I was a little bit of a rebel soul, and Peter Tosh really, really, really spoke to me.
Yeah, they didn't call him
Um,
Steppin' Razor for nothing.
no, he was hard. He was
Yeah.
hardcore.
I listened
Um,
to his audio tapes. Did you hear where he did Red Diaries or whatever, or the Red
yeah,
X
yeah,
Diaries? I have
yeah.
them. I downloaded them all, and I was listening to them. And when I design T-shirts and stuff, sometimes that's what I'll be listening to is the Red X Diaries. It's an amazing insight into his mind. Like I don't think a lot of people know about.
Benji, I am blown away that you said that. You are the first person. I have 60 episodes out, man. I got into reggae via Peter Tosh. Everybody else was Bob Marley. I love, love, love Bob Marley. Love him. I was
I mean, yeah,
introduced
no,
to
Bob
reggae when I
Marley.
was surfing at fucking like 11 years old via Peter Tosh. Legalize it, the cassette tape. That's how I first got into reggae. And that's
Yeah,
amazing, man. You're the first person who has said that.
one of my favorite albums of all time in reggae music was Peter Tosh's last album, No Nuclear War.
Right,
Oh
beautiful.
yeah,
Peter Tosh was more militant, and that's what I subscribe to. I love the militancy of Peter Tosh.
I mean, as I've gotten older, I'm a little less militant in the sense that I try to look at what everybody's doing
I get
and
that.
see what I can get out of it. Um, I mean, and I'm more open minded. Like I was definitely kind of
I'm
You know, I
definitely
could
getting
be
more
kind
open
of.
on it as I get older.
I could be a little bit rude back in the day when I was
Me
growing
too.
up, Rasta.
Me too.
Like
I know Shane
I'd
could
be like,
too, man. We
wait,
both.
wait, how do you have
Yeah.
dreadlocks and you trim your beard down? But that's a thing of the past. Things in time change, and you have to look into a man's heart before you look at his exterior,
Right.
and you have to look into a man's eyes to really see what they're looking at.
Right.
So, and that just comes with age. I could be what I am right now with or without dreadlocks.
So speaking of that, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, man.
I know that you view Rastafari as a way of life, not kind of a religion. Is that correct?
Yeah, Rastafari is not an ism
Right.
because ism really means a temporary thing. Now, Rasta is here on earth for good. Whether you check for Selassie or not,
Right.
that's a lineage that some people have proved to be correct, some people have proved to be incorrect.
Right.
But when you take a look at a person like Haile Selassie and you look at his face and his image and the words he spoke, he had every single culture, color
Completely
within
nailed it.
him because Ethiopia is the citadel of creation.
That's right, man. I mean, the song
So
"War" by Bob Marley, beautiful.
the birth of all supposed races are from there.
I completely believe that.
However, we are all okay. Rasta says this, and I agree with it. We all come from Blacka, as in black.
Amen.
Because if the first person was black, we all come from black. The reason our melatonin, whatever it's, melanin has changed
Right.
throughout the years. You
Right.
have to remember, it may have taken 1,000 years to make it from Ethiopia, say, right, all the way to the United States. And so the color scheme changed by, if you're in Northern Europe, you don't get as much of the sunlight.
Sure.
Now, I'm not an expert on any of this, so don't take me for complete face value, but that makes sense to me. And so, you know, all the, all the racism and all that, it comes down,
You
it
know what makes
really
sense
kind
to
of
me,
comes down to
Rastafari?
jealousy.
And straight up from Selassie, until the color of a man's skin
There's no
is
more,
important.
you say it,
The color of his eyes.
significant to the color of his eyes.
The nearest word.
And
Let me tell you something, man. That is true. Why don't we subscribe to that? How in the hell?
there was a saying I heard a Rasta man tell me in Jamaica. He said, "If the world would just listen to that little short man, there would not have been any wars." Because when he spoke at the League of Nations, he begged the League of Nations not to allow Italy invade Ethiopia.
Right.
That would be a game changer for the whole entire world,
Right.
and that is prophecy.
Right.
What's going on right now is false prophecy.
Amen.
You cannot speed up prophecy.
Amen.
What politicians are doing right now, they want to falsify prophecy fulfilled for their own gain.
Amen. Amen. We got a
And therefore,
billionaire
there is
worship.
no such thing as religion.
We have a
Okay?
billionaire
Religion
worship problem
means
going on in America.
religion means a way of life.
That's right.
Christ never said he was a Christian.
No, he didn't.
He never said he was God. Buddha never said he
You know,
was
Jesus
Buddha.
Christ never told people to worship him. He just
No.
said, listen to him. Love thy neighbor. The number one commandment from Christ was love thy neighbor. That's it. He didn't say what color you were. He just said, love thy neighbor. Love people. That was his message, was love. How the hell did that get distorted?
And how could the message be anything but that?
Right.
You don't need. Now, I've read the Bible from when I was a member of the 12 tribes of Israel, and
Okay.
that's how I was given the name Ras Marcus Benjamin.
Right.
And we read the Bible one chapter a day to the very end. Takes, I believe it was 3.5 years.
Right.
And I've read it more than once. I can't recite every little thing. I'm not an expert.
Of course not.
But what it comes down to is
Love.
the whole message is about love. You and
Christ's message was straight love.
yeah, and I grew up Jewish, and
I grew up a
you look at
Christian.
every world religion now. I don't believe in religion because
I,
if you look at the true definition of religion, it means way of life. When you say Judaism, Christianity, all that, those become isms for temporary, and then people will act like their religion is right, and
right.
now we have wars fought over religion. And if you think for us, and Christ turned over the tables of the money changers.
Of course he did, man. Yes, he was angry.
And we need to bring back that fervent anger in a sense that love is the answer.
Amen.
Not what is being
That's
put out
why
there right now.
Jesus
They're
said
dividing us on purpose to fight against each other.
Right?
I even catch myself, and and everybody is catching themselves doing that. So when we catch ourselves doing that, we have to realize that we're playing into what they're doing.
We are.
However,
you're right.
we must rebut with the hate and division, and always come back with the answer is love.
That's exactly right, man.
Period. Yep. And when you see your baby's eyes, what does that child have?
Love.
Nothing but love.
We are born.
Hatred,
we are born with love.
Racism is taught.
That's correct.
Inherently, we all know love.
Amen.
From
Bro,
inside.
You are preaching the truth. I will never believe that we are born sinners. No, we are born pure love. We are taught things to not do correctly. We are born love. A baby, like you just said, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. I love where you're coming from, man. That's amazing thing. So, how would you describe the feeling of reggae? It's a cultural movement, and you've lived it. So, from when you started listening to reggae and like getting into dub poetry, actually, you know what? Could you recite some? Because I know you're a dub poet.
Yeah.
I know you're a dub poet, and I've heard your dub poetry, and we're getting into it now, man. So let's just would you mind like just kind of throwing a little bit,
Oh, did we just start the podcast, or have we been?
We've been going for 57 minutes and 28 seconds.
That's a beautiful thing, man. Let's go for another hour.
I got 48% left on my battery. Anyhow, so I have a book out called Dub Talking. I also have a Nyabingi dub poetry album out called Dub Talking as well.
Yep.
And so I'll read you Dub Talking. I read that to you the other night, right?
You did, and I liked it. I especially liked the middle part, but I liked it. I liked it all.
Okay, so this one is Dub Talking. I haven't read it. The other night when I read it to you was the first time I read it in a long time.
It's good. I loved it.
So, okay. Dub Talking. Dub Talking. The people are talking in the streets. New York City is red hot. Jamaica is the same. Dub Talking. Dub Talking. The people then feel the heat. I met a man in Harlem. He was talking of things to come. While Revelation Angel 4 is Chernobyl, Revelation Angel 5 is the gun. Dub Talking. Dub Talking. The people then feel the pain. African woman's nipples run dry. Burning Spear, Malcolm X, Bob Marley. Mandela, Martin, and Garvey. Dub Talking. Dub Talking. Sometimes I feel like fighting. And I know say revolution. And soon the people will be talking of things to come. While Israel and Palestine are fighting, America is funding.
Yes.
And I can't see the reasoning. Dub Talking. Talking of things to come.
Right.
The The people then feel the heat. Dub talking, dub talking. The people are talking in the streets. New York City is red hot. Jamaica is the same. Dub talking, dub talking. The people then feel the pain. I met a man in Brooklyn. He was talking of things to come. Time that needs to be changing. Time that needs rearranging. Dub talking, dub talking. The people then feel the pain. African woman's nipples run dry, burning spear Malcolm X, Bob Marley, Mandela, Martin, and Garvey. Dub talking, talking of things to come. Sometimes I feel like fighting, and I know, say, revolution. Soon the people will be talking, talking of things to come. While Israel and Palestine are fighting, America is funding, and no one listens to the reasoning. Dub talking, dub talking. The people then feel the heat. The people then feel the pain. The people then feel the strain. Now who's to be blamed? Now who's to be blamed? Where did it come from and when will it change? Dub talking, dub talking. The people then feel the pain.
That's so beautiful, man. And I think we're all wondering, you know what you just said. You know, in the last kind of stanza, who will they blame? But the people then feel the pain. I think we're all looking for somebody to blame.
Well,
And
we are to blame.
I can, you know, it's. I think you can, if that's the beautiful part about, in my opinion, Rastafari, is we know who to blame. It's time for revolution because the
Yeah, but
people, you know, the powers that be are the ones who are to blame. You know, they are bleeding us dry, like you said in your dub poetry. You know what I mean? Literally taking every, like you said, you know, the nipple, like sucking us dry. And it's like, are we going to stand up? And that's the beautiful thing about reggae music, man. It is the last bastion of the People's Army, like Tony from Cultivated Mind says. This is a weapon. It's used to fight, but are we going to actually do anything about it? And how do you? But you know, I think through dub poetry and I think through awakening, it's an awakening. You know, me and my wife talk about this all the time, man. You know, I'm like, you know, like revolution doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to
no,
people don't
I
have
was
to
going to
pick
say
guns
that
up and shoot each other, but we can awaken, you know, through music and through dub poetry and things like that. People can change.
they want politicians want us to fight violently.
They do because
They
they
want
are
us divided.
politicians. You can't be an honest politician, in my opinion. I'm sorry,
We
you just can't.
cannot
I hate them all.
feed into that because what they're doing
I
right
tried to
now
say
is
the word
sending
hate, but
troops in, into Chicago and saying this and saying that, and Portland, you know, um, you know what's going on in those places. Yeah, they're a little bit more, a little bit more liberal, a little bit more empathetic.
right,
You know what I mean?
right,
And they're targeting. I hate to say because I'm not. I'm trying not to be political.
right. You can be
However,
political on my show if you want.
we're you can't step away. Everything is political in a sense because we were raised a certain way. So what we need to do is not allow them to ever see us be violent unless I will never ever ever be violent myself, but if I see a woman being beaten or a child,
Oh fuck yeah,
I'm going to have to step in. Now, that's
yes,
the only time we must do something like
right,
that. Right now, they're begging us to become violent so that
right.
they
That's
can say
exactly right.
we
They're
are to blame.
begging us to become violent. You're exactly right. And I
So
literally take back what I just said. I said I hated politicians. Let me rephrase that. Fuck politicians. Sorry.
I don't I abhor them but I don't hate anybody.
Correct. That's
Because
why I
if we
retracted my
if
statement. So I didn't mean
if
the
we
word hate,
allow
but I despise it.
Yeah, I abhor what they're doing because what they've done is there's no middle class anymore.
You're exactly
They
right.
we there are 60% of the people in the United States of America are living month to
Exactly
month.
right.
Yep. 2 months
I
away
am
from
one of
living on
them.
the street.
I am one of
Go on,
them.
my brother.
I work full time. I book tours for Mighty Mystic,
Yep.
and help our other bands, and we're living month to month. Um, you know, I'm grateful for what I have, but it's definitely it can get scary some months,
It's different
and
times, man.
I'm seeing more and more people like where I work. The other a couple of weeks ago, I drive up into work, and I'm having one of those mornings where I'm kind of feeling sorry for myself, you know, and I'm driving to work kind of in my jalopy, and I park my car, and there's a guy. It's kind of chilly out, a little rainy, and he's sleeping, under the store thing, by the store, and he's just wearing a jacket, no pillow, sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So I go in and we have one thing where I work where if a homeless person comes in and says, "I'm hungry," we're gonna feed them. So I
Amen.
went in and I said, "Hey man, I need to make up a bag of food for this guy right now. Let him sleep, but we got to drop him off a bag of food," and that's what we did, and that's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's the
100%.
revolution right there. Is
Fuck yes.
is take, and that's the Rastafarian creed.
Fuck yes.
Let the hungry be fed. Let the naked, and all that,
Be in
and
service of other
and the
people.
infants be cared for. But I want to revert back real quick because we're probably running out of time a little bit. But when we talk about Bob Marley, right, and the different branches and roots and all that, right, and stems and all that. Look at Bob Marley. The reason, the reason he was born both black and white, right,
Right.
as far as we can tell, right,
Right.
is to bring the world together. Because
Amen.
if he brought the world together, he's probably the most famous artist in all of music.
100%.
They sing his
100%.
songs in every language in
100%.
the world, and that's why you hear people in California singing it that their way because of the way they were raised and what they listen to. But they still have that same feeling that Bob brought in. Maybe the industry's not fair. There are powers that be that are not allowing others in, and that's because they might be a little bit more revolutionary,
Right.
and they you got and let's face it, what it comes down to is selling tickets
Yeah.
and streams, and if you're investing a lot of money into artists, then you have to you know realize your ROS, you know what I
You
mean.
know what's so beautiful about
However,
what you just said there, man? I talked to.
However, their job is, because I remember when I worked for Bill Bass and
Yeah.
put on Reggae on the Rocks,
Right.
right? You know, back in the day in the 70s and 80s, a concert promoter's job was to find new acts all the time to
Right.
bring up
Right.
and personally take, take responsibility for helping that band get big.
Right.
Now they're doing that, but they're not letting everybody in.
Right. Of course
And
not.
my feeling is this.
Politics.
Um, you know, with all respect due to all of them, for every American reggae act that's playing on a reggae festival, there should be a Jamaican reggae act on that festival. It should be equal. It doesn't really matter what place they're in. You know what I mean? When you look at Still Post playing before um, 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 other bands, right? For
Yeah.
example, it's a very smart move to do that because you're going to be seen in front of more people.
Right.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Whoever's bigger at the time should be the headliner
Right.
so that the opening bands can be seen by more people. That's how you help bands grow, whether they're
That's
older
actually a
or
really,
younger.
really, really good concept because I feel like a lot of like maybe the younger generation, because me, like, I listen to, like, the mid to, you know, early 70s to mid 70s to late 70s roots reggae is my favorite. I feel like it's the message, and I feel like a lot of kids that are getting into reggae, or like younger people that are getting into reggae, you know, they love the beat, they love the beach vibe, but they're not, like I said, reggae is a weapon. And I feel like the message is maybe gets diluted a little bit. You know what I mean? And a lot of them maybe like the Cali reggae kind of stuff. And I don't give a shit what people think.
But
This is my
reggae music
podcast, and
has gotten
I'll say this.
so
The
big.
message is getting diluted, but it's all about their reggae is about a revolutionary message.
Yeah.
But the things that they were singing about in the 60s and 70s are still valid today. Racism,
Yeah.
sexism, um, it, it
Corruption in politics.
everything is the corruption is still going on. It's kind of getting worse
It's
in
worse
some ways, and
today.
I mean it's still just it needs that message still needs to be
It's worse today. I had me and Mighty Mystic talk about this all the time. And, the one thing, him and I have come down to is this: people work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Everybody is struggling to get by nowadays,
right.
at least 60%.
We are.
So when he goes, I've never seen somebody like him. He'll drive 6 hours to a show after playing a show, and he'll give us 100% every single time. You know why? Because he knows that his job is to relieve the tension of the listeners that are coming to the
It's a
show,
beautiful thing.
and for them to enjoy themselves and feel, relieve that tension, that stress that we all feel. People are having mental breakdowns right now trying to get by. There's single mothers when they come to the show. Like last weekend in Colorado, there were all these single mothers that came down to these backyard parties, and they all had their kids, you know, and if you could see the light in their eyes and the smiles on their faces when they were dancing. And he brings a true message. He doesn't hold back, but at the same time, he figured out a way lyrically and musically to make the people dance. And the energy that he gives off on stage is magnetic. And that's one of the reasons I've been standing by his side for almost 10 years now. you know, and I don't do what other agents do. I don't demand every single penny.
Right.
You know,
And I actually got
what I
the pleasure to see Mighty Mystic play. Was Ray at the right? What 2 years ago? Anyway, absolutely incredible. But uh, I love what he does. I think it's absolutely amazing, man. And just like hearing that story is profound, man. You know what I mean? Because it's not like just an artist that you just does it for money. It's an artist that does it because they actually have that passion and that feeling, and
but
really
but
embodies what reggae music is all
we're
about.
getting somewhere now. People are catching on. We're gaining ticket sales in advance. We're getting
Sure.
walk up crowds. We're finally getting a little
Yep.
bit more, of this, and and it's sustaining itself. We
Mm.
have we have a sponsor who helped towards getting a brand new van,
Yep.
which was so crucial.
Mm.
You know, I could go and on about what we've been through with vehicles on the road,
Yep.
and he still showed up to these shows.
Yep.
His van broke down, and one of his vehicles broke down in Nebraska on the way to Colorado.
Yep.
He went across the street, rented a Ryder truck.
That's awesome.
Everybody got in it and drove to Colorado to play the shows because he wasn't going to let anybody down. He had shows opening up for Julian Marley in 2 places. He had city shows. We ended up having 13 shows in Colorado and New Mexico in 17 days. And he knew he had to do it. He did what he had to do. I did what I had to do to make it happen. And we played in front of a lot of people. We played venues that were kept telling me no, 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 no. They said yes finally.
That's
And
amazing.
I had those promoters come up to us and say, I apologize for saying no. Thank you for standing up to me and I decided to take a chance, and you blew us away by your presence. You showed up on time. You did everything we asked you to do,
Yep.
and that's a very important thing.
Right.
And, and having the merch game on point is very, very important, and all that. And that's something that my friend Janet's actually writing a book about the music business, and it's geared towards reggae music, for what a lot of people in the reggae industry, especially up and coming artists, don't know.
Right.
That's very important. Is you have to have your business structure intact from the start, because you never know what song you write. You might write that 15 years ago, but when you have a hit 15 years later, people are going to start listening to that first track, and that might be your moneymaker.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it was
So,
amazing. Like
you
I
have,
said, in 2023, me and my wife have been to Reggae at the Rock. How many years, baby? Ever since the
yeah,
first year. And in 2023, Mighty Mystic was the headliner. And I think it's absolutely amazing to have his booking agent on my podcast.
How did you get to meet Mighty Mystic, and what set him out where you're like, I'm going to work with this guy?
well,
Great question, Shane.
Rich Parara, his manager at the time, and still very close to the team. And I actually listen to everything he tells me to do.
Oh, yeah.
When he says I have advice for you on something, I take it, because he really knows what he's
That's
doing.
why you are an
He
awesome dude, because that's the foundation of success, is listening to.
and he asked me to book Mighty Mystic, and something resonated with me when he asked me to. Wasn't even that well. I was starting to become versed in Mighty Mystic's music, and then when he asked me to do that, I've been asked by a lot of bands, but I could tell that Mystic would go the extra mile and then some to make it happen, and he has a desire to not just make it, but to bring the message. And I mean, he smiles on stage after driving 20 hours with hardly
Right.
any sleep, and still gives the same show every time. And and the audience is growing, because you have to give the people what they ask for. And what they ask for is the relief of the tension in everyday life, along with the message, and to dance. There's more than one element in this music. It's not just, revolution, revolution, preaching, preaching, preaching. It's about bringing those lyrics across where people hear the message, but are
Right.
relieved by the message and are relieved by the music.
Absolutely. So, I have a question for you, man.
Go right ahead. I
Um,
probably saying too much, but go right ahead.
no, no, no,
That's
no, no,
awesome.
no, you're not. When it comes to reggae music, is it the music or the message, or both, that gets you going? Because for me, the music hits and then it's the message. But I love that chink, chink. The second
It's
I hear that
both
skank, I'm
because
like, oh, it gives me goosebumps, man. But then I
it's
start to
both, but
listen.
it's both because since I write lyrics, right?
Right.
I listen to the lyrics of every kind of song there is. Like, I'm forced at work to like listen to these, canned musics, right? From like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, what have you, right? And even stick figures now making it on these canned music
Right.
stations. And I listen to the lyrics, because, you could take the cheesiest song and realize why it's a hit,
Yeah,
because they're geniuses the way they wrote a cheesy song,
that's
even.
right. Like the
And so
Backstreet
when
Boys, man, they nailed it. I've never listened to them, but I can sing every fucking word of their song. I don't know how I know it. How do I know
because
these
they
words, man? Did I hear them in grocery stores when I was walking
There's,
through, or a doctor's office?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
there's psychology
It's
behind it.
there is. It's a total psychology
It's
behind it.
I
weird.
read a book. I read a book one time, and it was talking about that song from Outkast, "Sorry, Miss Jackson,"
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
they had a
great
computer
song.
program, and it said, "This is going to be a number one hit," and it wasn't getting any airplay with that at anything like that. So what they did is they took a John Bon Jovi song, played Miss Jackson, and then played Matchbox 20 after it, like all day. They paid and then 6 months later, it's a number one hit,
Yeah,
and it
they
was all psychology.
sandwiched it between two hits.
Yeah, 2 songs that people knew.
That's amazing. That's probably why I know all the words to every Backstreet Boys song, once again, or NSYNC song, and I've never listened to them in my life.
So for me, it's the lyrics because I always listen to the lyrics, and and obviously the music's got to have that proper hook.
Amen.
Mhm.
Sometimes people play too many instruments, but the songs that actually are the most popular are very, very sparse. And people, not me, I wouldn't really call myself a musician. I'm a Nyabingi drummer.
Right. Oh,
I learned
nice.
how to
I play
play it
drums
in the
too.
hills of Jamaica in the early 80s. Um, and all that. I learned all the Nyabingi chants. And one thing about the music is you have to let the music breathe,
Beautiful.
and therefore you'll understand the lyrics, and you'll feel the feel of the music, because when you let the music breathe, the listener breathes.
Yeah. All
Listen
right.
to the music.
I like that.
Yeah. I
Makes
saw an
a
interview with Stuart Copeland from the Police about playing drums,
great
and
drummer.
they're like, you're one of the greatest drummers on the planet.
Yes.
What makes you so good? He goes, I can do one thing most drummers can't do, and he played just a song for 2 minutes, no fill, and he was like, I can hold a beat, and I don't need to add extra stuff to it.
Right.
I just let the music carry the drum beat with it.
Quick question. Speaking of Stuart Copeland, have you guys ever heard of Oysterhead? It's Stuart Copeland from the Police, Trey Anastasio from Fish, and Les Claypool from Primus. That is a power band, bro. I mean, but anyway, it's not reggae, but I mean, you brought up Stuart Copeland, so I just literally had to
Yeah,
mention Oysterhead.
it
But
was
anyway,
just interesting. He was talking about the music breathing, and I thought that
yes,
was a
absolutely,
beautiful thing that there's 2 minutes of drumming with no fill. You know how
right,
hard that is for a drummer?
absolutely, man.
The
Oh,
best
certainly,
drummers
yeah.
in
To
the
not
world
want
phrase
to
their
just crush
drums
the
too.
drums.
If you listen to the best drummers in music, they phrase their drum like
Right,
as if they're playing to the words.
right.
Yeah.
I play percussion. I play congas and bongos, and yeah, it's not hitting when the singer's singing. It's when he stops and you do that pop pop, or it's like it's accent. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's accenting. It's not like playing over, right?
yeah.
100%,
That's
man.
what made that's what made the in the beginning days of the poetry like Mutabaruka and Lady
Yes, but the
Presley
Veruca.
Johnson.
Yep,
They played with a live. They would go into the recording
yep.
studio
Uh,
and they would write a poem, and they heard the cadence and the tempo in the lyrics, so they would start reading in the mic, and then the band would hear it, and you hear like Chinna Smith playing this guitar lick right out of last word that Mutabaruka said, and it made that word so much more powerful. And
Right.
that's what to me is missing in digital music. I mean, you can add to it, as you're doing it. That's one of the reasons I don't record too often myself, is because I'm really picky about what I'll record over. Plus,
right.
truth be told, my timing it's kind of hard since I don't hear the same way a musician does the counting. When I record in the studio, actually, my oldest son is an EDM producer,
I
and
love electronic.
so when I record, um, he comes to the studio with me and counts me in.
Nice. Yeah,
So
I spun techno for a while. I love I love electronic dance music. So, but if you're gonna be a EDM DJ, you definitely know how to count somebody in, man.
oh God, my son is so good.
That's awesome. But
He
you
goes
have
by
to be
Noah
doing that.
Earthling,
You
by
have
the
to be.
way. I got to pick up my son. He goes by Noah Earthling. He just played his first EDM show himself on a set and did really well.
Good
I
for him,
watched all the
man.
videos. He has like 8 songs out. He's got an
What's
EP.
his name
And
again? Say it real loud, real quick.
Noah Earthling.
Nice. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. I love
Yeah.
techno. I love techno music. So that's
Well, we
great,
He's
haven't.
man.
also a really good rapper. He did a rap tune with Amanda Julene, um, on a pretty big tune that James Lord sent me. He works with I'm forgetting the name of the distributorship, but he sent me the rhythm, and I'm going to record over it still eventually. But I gave it to my son, and Amanda Juline. She sang the reggae part, and he did the rapping part. And that's when they sent it to the guy to master, he decided to do an analog master because he liked the song so much.
Nice.
It landed on the top 4 tunes on Apple Music the first day it came out, and he got like 4,000 plays like in the first few hours. And then, of course, it faded because no one knew who him and Amanda Juline are. But it's pretty cool that that's somebody like and he did over a reggae song.
That's
Yeah,
amazing,
crazy.
man.
You've had such an amazing experience in life. I could talk to you for hours, but we talked right before the podcast started about Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg and the Europa Institute. You want to get into that a little bit, or?
Well, so in 1981, how I landed in Colorado was I got a writing scholarship of sorts to the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics in Boulder, Colorado, which is now called Naropa Institute. It was 3 or 4 classrooms above the Boulder bookstore on the Pearl Street Mall. And I was a beat poet at the time, but my poetry style was changing to what I would call more street poetry, and then into dub poetry. Looks like we lost Scott.
Did he drop off? I'll be back in a second. He's
Okay.
he's still on.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I came to Colorado, and I mean I've been writing since I was like 15. But I started out with beat poetry. I still write, beat poetry, and I immerse myself in all kinds. I mean, my goal in life is to actually retire and be lazy and
That's been my goal.
That was me.
I
retired last year, and then ended up starting an apparel business, and now I'm helping Scotty out and working with Scotty quite a bit, and I'm meeting interesting people. It's like I'm having the best time of my life right now.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing.
I envy you. We need to work together.
Absolutely, man. We are all working together, man. That's a beautiful thing, bro. So, I got a question for you, man.
Okay, I do need to sign off soon because I do have to get.
Yes, and 100%. If you could leave the world with one line of poetry right now, what would it be?
We feel it still. We feel it still. From David to Selassie, we feel it still.
Let me tell you something, man. I love you so much, man. This was an absolute blast having you on. I had 25 questions, and our conversation went from the first question, and it was so organic that it didn't go past that, and that's such a beautiful thing, man. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on this podcast, man. It was an absolutely beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's been a highlight of my short podcast career so far.
Yeah, right.
I don't get to do these too often, so because when you're booking tours for bands and this and that, you really are. And I don't want to say it's kind of like the unsung hero. You're in the background. Your job is to do the best you can for artists, But one of the reasons I do is because I come from being an artist of sorts. So I really, really defend, artists when I'm passionate about them. Mm-hmm. I may not be the best at what I do, kind of like the Grateful Dead. I'm not the best at what I do. I'm the only one who does it the way I do. I'm scrappy. I'll ask until, the final answer is yes or no.
I do the exact same thing. And you know what's beautiful about that is once you get the yes, you're building that community. And one thing I can say is there is strength in unity. So build your community. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Shoot me an email, hippiefarigreggae@gmail.com, and check out my website, hippiefari.podbean.com. And this is Scotty the High-Strung Hippie, Kira the Irie Empress, and Shane Scott from the Island of Rhythm, reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. Do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner. Smoke out a stranger. Slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart, because all good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms, they are all a part of this reggae revolution. One love, fam.
Yes, sir.
The journey.